One Magic Online player posted 3 trophies in 2 days with a classic Rug Oath list. Welcome back, Vintage Gamers, to off-stream recording. Haven't done one of these in a while. People always ask me how to get their deck list played on this channel, and I used to have a donation deck list system, but it ended up being a bit overwhelming for me as a side gig. So now what I tell them is just do some winning, and we do have some winning here. For anyone who doesn't know, Wessel, prolific, longtime Vintage player, has three 5-0s in a 2-day span with this take on Rug Oath. This is not a new or innovative take on Rug Oath. This is kind of how Oath was for a really long time, before this printing of Atraxa mostly. When Atraxa got printed, Oath moved to more of a flash, show and tell, combo-oriented deck, but for a long time before then, it was 2 creatures, Gaia's Blessing, and you played a controlling game plan, and that's what we got going on here. So it's a nice flashback to the past on how Oath decks used to be played. I played a lot of these on my channel with a lot of different kinds of configurations, but it's been a while, so I'm pretty excited. The newest thing that this is taking in is Stock Up. Stock Up is your really powerful 3-mana AB card draw. Find the pieces you need, and so we have quite the look and feel here. We've got 4 Strip Mine Wasteland effects to go with our run in 6. There's somehow still an Urza Saga in our deck as a colorless spell. We have 2 Trop, 2 Volk, 2 Surveil lands for 4 fetches, which should really be diversified here. So I might do that before we start. There's no reason for these not to be 4 different blue fetches. No basics here. No basics because we're playing this Forbidden Orchard deck. 6 forces, 2 Lorians. Yeah, I mean, I like this. I think it's a good look. The format is moving a little bit away from Mono White Initiative, which was typically a really hard matchup for this deck, and moving into a different space. So I think there's a lot to like about what's happening here, and I'm interested to give it a shot in a league. So I might. It's kind of weird. Saga is weird. If you just like don't look at Saga as a land and you look at it as a spell, I think it's totally reasonable here. And we have 19 lands, so I guess you can, and 2 Lorien, so you can do that. Okay. Like it's not a very synergistic card with our game plan, but it's obviously a very powerful card, especially with like Red and 6 and playing a fair game plan. So what I'll do is I'll get these to be 4 different island fetching fetches, and we'll play Wessel's list as is. I mean, 3 5-0s in 2 days is very impressive. Let's see how it lives up when I pilot it. See you in round 1. High stakes, proxy friendly paper vintage returns to the US in 2026. The legendary NYSE will be back June 6th in New York, and the Oklahoma Land Run returns July 10th through 12th in Oklahoma City. More details still to come. I hope to see you there. All right, time to focus up. Play some Oath. See what we can do. What the? Okay, sure. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to beat the lucky allegations here. This is about as close as it gets to best possible. So if we don't win with this hand against Lurrus, then I'm not sure how we do win. Turn 1 Oath with Pyro backup and the ability to Orchard and negation. I guess if this was a force, it'd be even better. Force of Will. Opponent's on a mold at 5, Lurrus. Don't really have anything else to say other than I'm very lucky. Try being like me. That's how you win. Oh, man. Oh, it's beautiful. I did have to restart this league, unfortunately, because there was something came up. But in that league, I was only 1 game in, and I was not lucky. I was also misplaying, so we don't talk about that. This is the first league. Yeah. Orchard. Oath. How does that make you feel, opponent? Okay, they didn't even have a force anyways. It's probably better for them. They don't have a force. They might just concede on a 5-card hand here. Sure. I have Pyro and Negation and Orchard. I am lucky. All right, that's kind of what I thought might happen. Sometimes you are that lucky. What this does for the opponent is it conceals whether they're Lurrus Fair deck or Lurrus combo. So I don't know if bringing in Ancient Grudges is good. I don't know if bringing in Null Rod is good. Wasteland should probably always be good. I don't actually know why there's a Wasteland on the board, to be perfectly honest. I feel like Wasteland is just always good. So, like, if they are Esper Fair, we kind of need a Braid. But it's just hard for us to board because opponent. But, like, how do I want to do this? Like, if they're Fair deck, we don't really need Negation. But if they're... Maybe we should do... maybe I should just go a straight Negation for Pyro Swamp. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. And then what about this Wasteland? Is there a card that I don't think is that good? I feel like Narset is like... I guess Narset's pretty good if they... I just don't think Narset's good at all, but that's kind of... It's probably a conversation for another day. I might just take out this Bobble on the draw. Let's try this. I think this is like the best I can do in terms of hitting most Lurrus decks, where if my opponent is on combo, we could theoretically, like, these cards get a bit better, this card gets better. If they're on Containment Priest, this card gets better. So, I mean, how do I board for these decks? Like, look at how many slots I have. I have to really do some thinking here. It's gonna be harder. I mean, jeez. Okay, sure. Okay. Okay, Volk means it's likely Breach. Could be Grixis, though. It's been floating around. This means that okay, and stock. Okay, so I made some deck building decisions here that are costing me. There was a 50% chance that this card should have been a negation, which would have helped here. We're gonna bring in probably negations. We'll probably put the Bobble back in. Don't really think Lantern's actually good here, but you could theoretically bring in Lantern. Could look at things like Grudge, Trap. We have a lot of choices. Null Rod, I think probably will bring in Null Rod, especially if they're not on Flame of Anor. So, but I mean, opponent conceded on turn 1. I mean, what am I gonna do? I have no idea which Lurrus deck they play. It's kind of the beauty of Lurrus is that Lurrus doesn't really mean anything. It just means that you're mostly blue. Hinskin Boo seems like a terrible card to draw here. I cannot protect my Oath. So I think I'm going to try to buy time to get a way to protect my Oath by playing Wasteland on this Volk and playing out Pearl. In case they play Bobble or something. Yeah, I feel like Minsk and Boo is a card that should probably get cut, just maybe in general. But there's an upside here to being able to like put a fast clock in play. But I mean, maybe you could theoretically just cut the oaths and play full control. I think that must be what he wants to do against this kind of. Oh, unless it's just Guy PO. In which case, the oaths are fine because of Thundertrap Trainer. Okay, that's okay. So then I think I can actually keep the oaths and maybe we'll board out the boo instead. I think the boo might be better than the oaths. They were on like the breach deck with no creatures. This also makes like, see, this is the problem with Narset is that vintage decks don't play no creatures anymore. Vintage decks play for Thundertrap Trainers and they can just attack the Narset. And this doesn't even stop stock up. It only stops PO. So I think like Narset has really kind of been cycled out of the vintage metagame, even if it wasn't unrestricted or wasn't restricted, which it probably shouldn't be at this point. It's kind of interesting. This found a chain of vapor. Oh, that's unfortunate. All right, I think I'm still. I think I'm still waiting. So. I think I'm super dead here. Opponent went turn one, stock up Ancestral Probe. I don't think we're winning this game, but never say never. Maybe we can get there. It's an interesting thing being on the PO side of this matchup because you don't really want to cut these trainers. And you don't really cut the trainers anyways, but they do, make you weaker to Oath, so. I'm going to try and get this Oath in play. It's a really weird one. But you have so many answers to Oath, and that the fact that because you have portable holes as a direct answer to Oath, which is really nice. I've always kind of liked the Jeskai PO versus the Show and Tell Oath deck, but I assume this matchup is quite bad because Pyroblast is just incredible against stock up PO. So I correctly boarded in for Pyroblast, which is great. The question is going to be like, am I bringing in Null Rod? Am I bringing the negations back in? Am I bringing in Mindbreak Trap? Am I bringing in Ancient Grudge? Those are all the things I really need to think about. So the problem with this countering back here is that my opponent will then Chain of Vapor my Oath, but I think that's fine. We got to get these cards out of their hand somehow. Oh, wow. They went for double force. Pitching, chain, and stock up instead of going for the chain. I feel like I would have just let it resolve and chained it and buy myself time to like do things, but they want to use two forces. That's totally okay with me. He's just fetching a Meticulous Archive here. Oh. Did Demonic Tutor Splash. One thing we could do is maybe we play Minsk and Boo and make the ability to block, and then we just have to block two things, and we can maybe throw something out, throw the hamster, kill the Lurrus. Some options here. PO. It's not great for me. That's a bad sign as well. Probably another PO, or just play the trainer again. feel like, oh god, yeah, that's not good. I mean, this game was always going to be hard. Okay, well, I don't think that playing a Narset really helps, so... I think we're gonna die. 3 forces. Pitching the Thunder Trap Trainer. I don't really know how much time I even have here. I have the stupid Wasteland and the Saga and the Pearl, which means that even if I got Narset into Oath, I couldn't even cast it. Not that I think we're getting a turn to do that anyways. Okay. I will just concede to whatever gets put on the stack here, because it is definitely not worth the time. I'd like to test out these Ancient Grudges because, you know, that's a concept that Sean has sworn on in terms of this kind of matchup. I'm a little skeptical because it kind of depends on, but this is like, this is a deck that can cast that, both parts of it. Yeah, I'm thinking like, I mean, 3 drops. Kind of think I just want to play Ancient Grudges, Null Rod, Vexing Bauble, Negation, and Trap. The Negation and Trap might be, or Negation might be going too far. Because, like, might be going too far. I want to get, like, leaner. I could just take out a bunch of Oaths. Doesn't seem very good. I mean, take out some Oaths sounds fine. I just want to play Rug Control, basically. I don't think Saga is... I actively don't think Saga is very good here, so... I don't know, maybe I'll try this. One of the things is, like, these cards all get... Oh, I guess Boo doesn't get Pyroblasted. But these ones all get Pyroblasted at 3 mana. I don't know. Let's try this. I have no idea. I just can imagine that we're supposed to be the control deck here. These traps might just not be that good either. I feel like these traps should be pretty reasonable, though. One of the nice parts is that Oath and Ren are neither are stormable, so make them pretty good cast on turn 1 and turn 2. Which makes me want to maybe just keep the other 2 Oaths in and take something else out. It feels weird not to keep in negation, but like, what are you negating? I mean, I guess you're negating PO if they cast on their turn, which they almost always are. But if they understand the matchup, they might go for more on your turn. It's not straightforward to me. The sideboard is the initial sideboard here is like extremely anti-blue, anti-combo heavy, and it's not immediately apparent to me exactly how you're supposed to take cards out for that kind of deal. I'm surprised there aren't more like dismembers and anti-mono white cards, but maybe those don't exist in leagues right now. I'm not really sure. Opponent mulligan to 5 again, though. Not a great start for them. Alright, so I'm gonna go with the Flooded Strand Go. This will get a Hedge Maze, and then having double Surveillance kind of nice. Especially if you're playing a long-term controlling game. Springs. I mean, if they have Ancestral, it's pretty bad for me. But also, it's hard to jam Ancestral into open here. Pedal. That kind of indicates they might be Reach, PO. I still want to go for the... I'm going to tap out anyways, so I still want to go for the Hedge Maze. If they get to resolve Ancestral, they get to resolve Ancestral. I don't think I want Mox unless I'm casting Stock Up this turn. And I don't think I'm casting Stock Up this turn, so I think I'm just going to get rid of this Mox. Yeah, I will definitely take a peek at what my opponent's working with here. Remember, this was a Molio 5 from the opponent. But, okay, so they have Lotus PO Force. So what are they likely to force? That is, I think a Ren and 6 is still the best play here because they're just 100% always forcing the Null Rod, where they're not always forcing this Ren and 6. And I'm surprised I didn't play Lotus out. Is there any real reason not to play Lotus out? You could have hard cast a Force. Whereas this has a decent chance of not getting countered, and then we have a Wasteland Loop resolved, which is pretty strong. It's kind of nice to have the option to Oath, but like also not be overwhelmed by Oaths when they're not turned on here. It's a weird dynamic. We'll have to consider this as we go through the league, just like exactly how we want to board. This is kind of a problem where you're not the creator of the deck, so you don't know exactly what they had in mind. Maybe they didn't even have that in mind. But I mean, three leagues in a row, you think they have an idea of what they're trying to do, and I just try to figure out what that idea is. So now my opponent's hand is PO Black Lotus. If they don't draw immediately, like Ancestral or something, they are in huge world of trouble here. We kind of also want to draw a Force to protect our Null Rod, but... they would have had to draw exactly a Force on that turn, so... So now they're pretty locked out. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cast Brainstorm and then use that to... I don't actually think I want a Vexing Bauble. So I'm going to use that to... I don't think I need another trap either. I don't think like resolving an Oath dramatically changes the game from this spot. So I think I'm just going to go with shuffle those cards away and use a Surveil land. Well, now there's a good reason to Oath, so... We also don't know about Orchard. Now we have an Orchard. Not bad. I mean, I think we just got lucky, like opponent mulligan, and we kind of crushed them. We'll have to consider those sideboarding things as we move forward here. All right, let's try to go again here. It's really interesting to me that this deck doesn't really have any concrete plan versus mono white. You'd expect like, you know, oh, Oath of George is an anti-creature, so it's pretty good against mono white, but that hasn't actually been the case for a long while. The way the mono white decks are constructed, they're quite good against Oath of Druid with their Witch Enchanters and different kind of interaction. But, you know, I've been harping on about it, but mono white is down like 10% in meta share on Magic Online, so maybe you can get away with this really truly anti-blue, anti-combo stance. I'd worry a little bit about Dredge, but maybe Dredge is fine too. You do have Oath, but like your other cards are not very good besides Oath, and you don't have access to like Show and Tell Atraxa, which is quite good. I'm gonna keep this hand. It's not a good hand by any means, but I do like it enough. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go Pearl Trop Walk in an attempt to get us to a place where maybe we're playing a turn 1 Ren, or we're holding a Pyro. And if not, we can still play a Saga and we have a plan. I'm not sure though. Like I could theoretically see this hand being mulliganed. I feel like Saga is only going to be good against very specific matchups here. Black Lotus. Okay. I guess we're going to put a Wren on the stack. It's just not very good is the problem, right? Is there any world where I just hold open Pyroblast on Black Lotus because this is not actually a good play to play Wren right now? Like this Wren is plussing and doing nothing, right? Because I'm not playing Wasteland for it. Yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna play the Saga first. Obviously, this shows we have a Saga. So maybe that's not great, but like an opponent could be Jewel, right? And we're gonna want to have access to a Pyro for like a turn 1 Tinker or PO or something. Like obviously Pyro's not that good against Jewel either, but let's see. Oh, look it's Jewel. I mean, if they go Ancestral or Tinker or something, like I'm gonna look kind of smart. If they don't, if they play a Ring, I just look silly. But if they play a Coveted Jewel, I look silly. I guess they could. Coveted Jewel might even not be that bad because what we can do is make a it's probably still bad. Is it PO for 3? Please be PO for 3. Oh my god. Am I good at this game? I might be good at this game, actually. It might not matter. I mean, maybe that doesn't actually end up mattering, but I think that was a pretty impressive play that I'm not sure everyone would have made there. Let me know in the comments. Am I full of myself? All right. So get to Wasteland the blue source, and they'll have 3 mana left after that. And we have Saga tokens coming. It's not bad. I'm a bit worried, though. We're a little low on cards and control, but we made the right play on turn 1 here, and we were rewarded for it. Might still not have made the right mulligan choice for what it's worth, but at least given the cards we had, we made a non-straightforward choice, keeping our Black Lotus, not resolving Wren and 6, and holding up Pyro against, you know, a possible opponent that could be a Jewel. I didn't know what this opponent plays for what it's worth. All I know is it's not Lurrus. So, like, Pyroblast would be pretty bad against Mono White, Sphere Shops, Raker Shops, Dredge, but I didn't feel like I was gaining a huge advantage versus those things by putting a Wren in play anyways. So, like, insulating myself, I was like, come on. I feel like insulating myself with a Pyroblast would be pretty good. Unfortunately, it looks like my opponent is going to use their Talon Gates to make blue mana and cast Tinker for Coveted Jewel here. They can't brick, though, because I have a Saga token. So if they brick, they are in trouble. Though Synchronous Stupors count as non-bricks, they still have a land drop. Obviously, Metamorphs are non-bricks. If they have a land drop, they can find POs as non-bricks. It's very hard for them to brick from here. But yeah, I mean, I did not have 2 answers, basically. Oh, all right. Well, so we'll see if they have a Synchronous Stupor. Then Wasteland's not bad. I'm gonna make a second construct. And then this is just gonna have to be Vexing Bauble. It's the only thing that really interacts. I could, of course, go Ruby so I can have a Wren and 6, but I'm not actually sure that matters as much as stopping my opponent from being able to play zeros. Let's see if... I assume they have Synchronous Stupor, but we'll see. I think they have... Yeah, the way they are stopping in each cost means they have Synchronous Stupor here. So... doesn't look like we have a chance. Wastelanding here does not really do anything, but... Synchronous Stupor has been an incredible upgrade for Jewel. Okay. Interesting to play a Saga out. Unless you have a Time Walk, maybe? If it's just PO, they can't replay these Moxen, and... oh, they just have Otawara on my construct. Alright. And Time Walk. Okay, I'm out of here, chat. I'm out of here. I think we made a good choice, and we were not rewarded. The good news is this gets much better. I can assume this matchup is fantastic post-board with Needle, Wasteland, Null Rod. I doubt Grudge is very good. I'll have to consider these, though. I don't think Pyro is that good against their deck, but I love Trap. I actually do think that Narset is pretty reasonable here. I think I'm going to take out all of the Oath stuff. I think I'm going to play Planeswalker Control. And yeah, I don't feel like I want Probe. I do kind of like the idea of having access to Grudge for like any kind of post-board pivots. I don't need a Gaia's Blessing. So I mean, that might be the thing we're missing here is just take out the whole Oath package versus decks where it's not going to be good and just bring in this rug control stuff. Again, like Pyro would have been, a second Pyro would be great in that game, but a lot of times Pyro is pretty dead because he doesn't counter One Ring, doesn't counter Jewel. So I'm not really a huge fan of it. I like access to all of these walkers. I'm going to run like this. You don't really want to cut Moxen because you do need to cast Null Rod ahead of curve, even though it's a little bit of a numbo. This is acceptable. So this is Sapphire, Lorien revealed into red probably, and then Vexing Bauble. If they don't counter Vexing Bauble, then they get to resolve whatever they want on turn 1, but they can't play any zeros. If they do counter Vexing Bauble, we still have Mindbreak Trap, and then we have Null Rod follow-up, so I'm pretty happy with this spot. Interesting. I assume that means a Sapphire and then Ancestral. Bro, playing a Mock Sapphire against Jewel is so dangerous because their deck can't make blue mana a lot of the time. I'm going to Time Walk here. And then on my Time Walk turn, I'm going to get a Ren 6. And then with my Ren 6, I'll play the Null Rod. And that should lock this game up. Did I could have just fetched a Hedge Maze, huh? I was not thinking about that. I should probably have fetched a Hedge Maze. Still have a Vexing Bauble in play, protecting my stuff from forces. So it would have to be a very specific blue card answer, and I don't think they have those in their deck. I would hope not, because they can't cast them. Because they had to Metamorph a Sapphire just to even play game here. This does mean my Vexing Bauble can't be cracked, so I will have to hard cast forces and stuff, but I don't know if that matters here. Like I said, if they jam like a Agenta Masticore on this turn, then I do end up in a little bit of a spot, but I will have answers with Ancient Grudge later, so might be not a problem. And if they don't jam anything, then I have Hardcast Trap coming up with a fetch land every turn for the rest of the game, so... I think the answer here is to wait one time. It's a lot of mana. Time Vault. What do we do? Nothing. That's the whole point. Every artifact that resolves is more mana for their Tolarian Academy. So they will have like basically no mana problems here. Tolarian Academy is very good until we draw Wasteland. Then we have a Wasteland Ren loop. Another Mind Break trap. Probably just keeping that. Like I said, our plan here is to build out our mana base using Ren and 6. Maybe we'll Ren and 6 ultimate. And we just counter anything that matters. There's not that many things that matter, though. Otawara, which is still not castable, will be an uncounterable thing. We only have one more fetchable. For what it's worth. Ah, we have found the wasteland. That probably means my opponent loses the game. It's quite a good one here. Do they have a spell that they want to cast? I don't even know like what they could cast here. Especially being it on our turn. Ah, they're going to bounce Ren and 6. So I don't actually think that matters. So I think that's just fine. It's not clear to me that matters. I'm gonna wait a turn here because right now I can't play a land drop. So I want to hold open my Mind Break trap still. And then next turn when I have 6 mana again, I can go Ren and 6 and replay Misty, or Ren and 6 and replay Wasteland and not Wasteland. That kind of thing. Just need to play a calm and patient game of Magic the Gathering here. I assume this is going to be a one ring. A one ring is totally fine. I'm gonna say a jewel, draw 3, which would be reasonable as well. Gonna go, yep, green, red, red and 6. They can't force. There's still a Vexing Bauble in play. Get this Wasteland in play. Okay. I like this approach. I think I don't need a braid. So we just need to make it to our Null Rod again. That was a great start. It's exactly how I want to play this matchup out. It's exactly how you beat this kind of jewel deck. So this hand does not have any counter spells or any Null Rods or anything. This is a good enough hand. Obviously, we will sometimes die by keeping this hand to turn 1 stuff, but all right, looks bad for me. If it's a Trinisphere, it's also insanely bad for me. Null Rod. If it's Vexing Bauble, it's pretty bad for me. If it's Lotus Tinkered, I lose the game. I mean, like I said, this is in the range of keepable hands here. You have your anti-jewel cards. You just don't have a force. And sometimes you won't get a force. Would have loved to have a Mind Break trap, though. The good news is if it's a 1 ring, it looks like it's going to be hard cast force from the opponent. So I kind of need red mana, I guess. Yeah. So how do I navigate this? The only reason you'd fetch this Lotus here is if you have your own force for my Null Rod. But if I wait, I probably just die. So The answer is probably I have to hope they just don't actually have a null rod and they're just posturing, because I mean, there's just no other way to play this out that makes any sense. Yeah. Oh, they didn't even have a blue. Okay, they forced pitching blue card. They have one card left. That's very odd. I feel like you would just use the Lotus unless they, I guess maybe if they have a PO in their hand, then it makes sense to hold the Lotus so they can PO. I guess we just die to that, so. I mean, my opponent had a great hand though. Turn one, a million mana. Oh, okay, not a great hand. All right. Okay. Okay, that's a red mana. So I will. God, what the? Am I no? Am I just needling a One Ring? Uh. So I can take away blue mana by hitting the Lotus with an Ancient Grudge, but I don't need to take away blue mana because I have a Pyro. I could take away Tezzeret, tutoring, but I kind of feel like I need to take away. I think I need to take away access to the One Ring more. I cannot type apparently. It must be one letter off here, or one letter off. I just do a Thriller dance. All right, so I have access to Pyroblast for a blue spell here. I have access to Ancient Grudge for a Vault Key. That is going to make the Tezzeret be able to search. See what they have in their deck. If they have a Sensei's Top, it's obviously good. That's like one reason that I might want to go name Tezzeret so that they can't just like tutor for something, but I feel like that's a lot lower impact than a One Ring resolving here with a Tezzeret in. I guess Tezzeret in play doesn't actually matter because I guess naming Tezzeret does help the One Ring because the One Ring wouldn't get to activate twice, but I think what I'm going to do here is Ancient Grudge, just Black Lotus. I think it's a pretty reasonable use of my mana, and I'm only want to hold up red mana anyways. So I'm going to Ancient Grudge this Black Lotus. They kept PO in their hand? That'd be crazy. I would give them big props if they did that. If they like held PO for the turn to play around Pyroblast and then PO'd in response, I feel like that's just a great play. And I kind of have to. I'm the one who's like constrained on mana. I have to make some like concessions on my timing windows. So I don't have to kill this Black Lotus there because I can deal with blue spells, but also like fetching up the ability to flashback this Grudge will be really good. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. All right, well, now I have the ability to Grudge again for Time Vault, which is something I'm not currently covering. So I've got Saga covered. I have a pretty good range covered, not a great range. The thing I don't have covered here is Jewel. That's the biggest problem. All right. So this is hanging on a knife's edge, but this is still the game we're trying to play. So we're not unhappy from this spot. The big thing is I'm still not covering certain spells. Dig is getting close to being castable. It is still not currently castable. I might throw out a Pyro just so I can get Dig on the ability to play Dig. I feel like with the amount of fetches and things in my deck, I can't just wait on that. I don't feel pressured to, yeah, I don't feel pressured to waste a spell just so I can get this dig going. And now I'm in a much better spot, so see what happens. One of the problems with this Jewel deck, like all-in combo decks, is you have so much built-in mana. You don't have abilities to like filter into the cards you need. So they are currently drawing a really rough set of top decks in comparison to a deck like that has stock ups. Also, I got rid of their blue source, even if they had a stock up or something. So I have 4 cards. So yeah, I think what I'll do, I can't really want to lose Ancient Grudge. So what I'll probably do here is just Hedge Maze and continue waiting one more turn here on this dig through time. Oh, I will keep that. I don't actually think that Wastelanding helps me here. So I actually think I'm just going to go get another fetch land back. Now, this Renin 6 can actually clear out a Forbidden Orchard token, which is super nice as well, in case I want to cast Dig. They're also just losing to Mana Crypt, so if I can control the game, we'll be in a good spot as well. This is a coveted jewel. That is the worst possible outcome for me. I can fetch and look for blue card force. Probably should. I mean, I have Pyroblast and I have Pyroblast and I have Ancient Grudge. Is this really that bad for me? I think tapping out for Dig Through Time is worse than letting this resolve. But I saw some Sudoers Tezzeret. I could be wrong. That's fine. Shelby covers that. Those who don't know, this is Shelby. Shelby's a good dog. What is this? PO? Think back my Abrade. My Ancient Grudge. So syncing this back to my hand, I believe that's fine, right? Kind of trying to remember the flashback rules. It's like flashback remand, right? Let me just do a quick Google. No. So, but remand's different, right? Remand countered a spell, and if it was countered, okay, this is different though. This returns it directly back to my hand. So I think it's better for me to just let this happen. No, it doesn't work. Okay, well, I thought someone said that all right, so I just threw this game. Sorry, chat. If the flashback cost was page, exile this card instead of putting it anywhere else anytime it would leave the stack. So what happened in the last video where I thought I Snapcaster flashback and chat told me it wouldn't be good against the bounce spell. I don't know. I must be misremembering. But I am now pretty dead here. There's still a Mana Crypt in play. So we're not dead, but I did give him a clock to kill my Renin 6 as well. Sorry, chat. I looked it up and I kind of ignored what I just read. So, because I just thought I was, what can this name? Jewel? I guess this is fine. All right, I just have to hope that this mana crypt kills them, which seems unlikely, but... sorry. I was just trying to remember why that I felt like what I just... Like, I looked it up, saw the ruling that makes sense for what happened, and I just ignored it. I'm trying to remember what happened in the most recent video. So, like, what bounce spell did I have in the most recent video? I must have had... Aang or something? Aang on a flashback spell? So that wouldn't have worked. So, but chat said like, it was bad for me. Maybe chat was just wrong. Yeah. Obviously, we lose to basically everything from the opponent, so we have a very low likelihood of winning this game. Okay, that's good enough. They just kill the mana crypt with their Karn, or get a Worm Coil, or whatever. All right, well, this is a good lesson learned for everyone. Oh, they might have had negation backup for... They might have had negation backup anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. The ruling everyone's looking for here is 702 32A. Flashback appears on in some instances of sorceries. It represents two static abilities. One that functions with the card is in the graveyard, another that functions when the card's on the stack. Flashback cost means you may cast this card from your graveyard, paying the cost rather than paying its mana cost. If the flashback cost was paid, exile this card instead of putting it anywhere else. Anytime it would leave the stack. So yeah, just a miss there, but I think a good learning experience. So my mistake is your gain. See you in round 3. Okay, I figured out why I made the mistake. So recently I top 8'd with this Lurrus PO deck, and at one point in the stream, my opponent was very far ahead and was snapping back a PO with Snapcaster Mage. Snapcaster Mage notably gives PO flashback in the same way Ancient Grudge. And so I had asked chat, oh, can I airbend this and stop it? Just like the sync did for my Ancient Grudge. And chat said no. And now I understand why they said no. And it's because airbend works differently than the interaction that just happened. Airbend lets you cast spells from exile for 2. And so even though this flashback would be taken off the stack, the way that flashback gets taken off the stack, or the way this PO gets taken off the stack, is it gets put into exile, where they can still cast it for 2. So that's why I got confused. It was really weird because I remembered the remand modern interaction with Snapcaster, and I was like, what? Why doesn't this work? I mean, I assume this doesn't work, and then so I just got these two different cases confused because of a recent thing. So that's why I made the mistake, and now you know that bouncing a flashback spell is different from airbending a flashback spell, which is pretty cool. So I'm sad that I lost that game that I might not have had to lose, but losing games is typically a more effective way of learning than winning. So we take those. All right, so we are up against Dredge. Looks like combo Dredge, and we get to deploy a turn 1 Vexing Bauble against combo Dredge, which is quite good. But we still need to win and get an Atraxa in play to beat just natural, like, big bridges and stuff. So let's see what we can do. So here's Bazaar. Combo Dredge is really cool. It's a deck doesn't get a lot of play, but it's nice to have different options inside of the Dredge sphere here. We are going to have to find an Oath, because simply playing a Vexing Bauble is not enough. Ooh, they did not have a Dredger. That's quite good for us. But we are on a clock. And again, they can cast therapies and get them countered with bridges later, so. Do I want to go one card? I think I just want to start with a brain. I think I want to wait on the brainstorm. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play this Thundering Falls out. And then we can brainstorm later. I think giving them a spirit token here is not great. Maybe it doesn't matter. Also, the waiting makes my brainstorm better, so. So they did hit a Dredger here. They could bring back an Ichor if they wanted to by eating another Ichor. They probably don't want to. Triple, all 4 therapies are gone now. Dredge 3 hits a Poxwalkers and an Imp. What a cool game here. Let's see what we can do. Currently, still not a great spot. If I want, I could brainstorm end of step here just because we can get to the stock up easier. And maybe I am under enough pressure that that's worthwhile. It's like losing some amount of value on our brainstorm, but it's a little bit less about value right now and a little bit more about time. Something my opponent could do is cast this therapy, sacking the token, and I think that'll bring back Poxwalkers, even though it gets countered. So they should probably do that, though. Yeah, it's a it's a clock upgrade. Makes sense. Looks like they're not going to do that. Am I going to brainstorm? I think I am going to brainstorm here. It's a little weird, but I feel like if I want to make sure I hit a land so I can cast stock up, right? Those are a bunch of dead cards. Because we need an Atraxa to win this game. We will not simply win this game by waiting. There's an Oath. And a Wasteland actually is quite good as well. So now I have one more. They have one more activation here. We have to hope we don't take too much damage. Wow, that's a lot of Ichorids and a bridge. I actually think we might not make it. We might not make it. We're going to go to 11, and then we'll take... Yeah, we're not going to make it. Wow, it's just a turn too slow. Yeah, wow, okay. We're going to have to rip a Time Walk off the top of our library here. I think that's the only way, because I'm taking 9. I'm going to 8. A bunch of therapies can be cast to get a bunch of bridges if they want. Oh, they won't get bridges from these. They'll get 2 bridges from each of these. I think you can stack the spirit tokens, though, to therapy to bring back the Poxwalkers, which is something. And then you can stack the Poxwalkers to itself to get bridges. I think they could have gotten a lot more here. Again, it doesn't matter unless I have Time Walk, so. All right. We almost snuck a game 1 there. I wonder. Okay, I'm going to bring in Needle, Wasteland, and Lantern. And then I'm going to take out Negation, Boo, Probe, Narsa, something like that. We might want to bring in Grudge to be able to kill hollow ones. It's not strictly necessary, but it might be better than, like, Oko at doing the job. Maybe I'll go... That's kind of unclear to me. Let's try maybe 1-1. I don't know. All right. Try again. This one is... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a keep. I have the bauble and I have a wasteland this time. I'm gonna have to hit lands, but... All right, another resolving vexing bauble. See what bad things happen to us. If we draw a land right away, fetch land right away, we just get to play an Oath, and it's pretty easy, but if we don't, then things get a little dicey. We'll have to see what we can do. Icarid Grave Troll Imp is quite a powerful flip over, especially if we don't wasteland. We drew another Oath. Well, now I think we have to wasteland. But it might just be too slow. They drop 2 lands in a row. They can't really bring back Icarid yet. Here's a Dredge 6. Hits a bridge from below. So now I'm just like not gonna hit the lands that I need. My deck has a lot of lands in it, right? It has 20 lands in it total. And 2 Lorians, which don't exactly count. Looks like we're gonna be too slow. I mean, if I don't wasteland, we're still super slow. Like they're gonna have 2 activations for 11 cards every turn. It's just too much. I mean, I feel like I'm supposed to be keeping Vexing Bauble Wasteland hands, but maybe this was just a little too greedy. It's possible. If I draw land, I still don't know if that's fast enough at this point. We'll see. Put the Golgari Grave Troll back in the yard. All right, there's an orchard. So I just need to draw 1 more land. But they did. Oh, no, they pitched an Icarid. That's even better than a. Oh, no, because that's 2 bridge tokens and 8 damage. I think I'm not fast enough. I go to 9. Yeah, I'm actually. I'm slow. I'm too slow here. Oh, man. I'm getting crushed. Okay. So what I'll do is I gotta crack this bubble because the only way I can win is like Ancestral into Mox, Time Walk stuff. So yeah, it's too late here. I also could maybe hit a Lantern, I guess, but then they still have 6 power, so it's pretty bad. 7 power, I should say. There's the Mox right away. If I had kept my Wasteland, nah, it's not very viable. It's not enough. Damn. All right. Our hands were just not enough hate, which is kind of how I felt looking at like the sideboard. It was a little light. Obviously, Oath is a great card against Dredge. Flipping over into an Atraxa is quite strong, but the number of ways you can do that is quite low. And here they just bring back Icarids and they kill us with the Oath in play, but not triggered yet. Rough. Okay. Another attempt here on the draw against Lurrus. Reasonable hand here. So far, we've had some close matches. The Dredge match was not, but I kind of thought that might be the case. We're a little light on Dredge hate, and I'm not sure our Dredge hate's the best Dredge hate. Having Lanterns instead of having Ley Lines or Rav Traps is kind of a interesting choice. It does make us a little bit better, like against Breach theoretically, but that's not really a huge metagame percentage. If I played Oath, I usually like to play Ley Lines, but some people avoid playing Ley Lines so that they can, so they can not get hit by Vigor, killing Leyline and killing Oath. So sometimes you play Ravenous Trap instead. All right, show me your secrets, Bobble Gamer. Okay, don't show me your secrets, Bobble Gamer. I'm going to play a Tropical Island, and if my opponent wants to wasteland that, that is fine. I will just Lorien Revealed for another one. They're going to Lorien Revealed first. Makes sense. Makes sense. I'll probably go get a hedge maze or something. Oh, they're gonna just go for looks like they're just gonna go for a Bowmaster instead. Bowmaster's not particularly great against Ren and 6, right? No, it is good against Ren and 6 because I go up to 4, they shoot it down to 3 and attack it for wow. Okay, that's not good. That's not good for me. Bowmaster seems, yeah, it's just enough. Oh, I'm getting wastelanded anyways. Okay. Oh, now I'm gonna wasteland you back. No one's allowed to have lands. All right. They're allowed to have lands. My bad. The fact that I can't just like play around in 6 without it just straight up dying to. Oh no, I did the math wrong. If they Bowmaster it down to from 4 to 3, and then they can attack for 2, so it's still fine. And unless I make an Orchard token, in which case then it's bad. So, okay. I feel like we should get Spell Pierced, but oh, I still have to make an Orchard token. Okay, in that case, then I probably should just play. I mean, this Narset card is not playable, man. Look at how bad this is. I have to give them a 1/1 to play this, and the 1/1 attacks the Narset. Well, I probably should just cast Stock Up. Yeah, I got Spell Pierced anyways. All right. I also drew the Gaia's Blessing, which is a classic Oath gaming. This looks really bad for me. I do think this matchup is likely very good, the blue-black versus 4 Pyroblast Oath deck, but doesn't mean you can't lose. Yeah. I guess no matter what I cast that turn, I was getting countered. And Narset is definitely the worst of these cards, so... I'm pretty worried about this game. I feel like if we were on the play, this game would have been very favorable, but on the draw, it's looking a little like we're a step behind. Time Walk is fine. I got punished a bit for fetching this Volcanic as well, but I think it made sense at the time where my opponent hadn't wastelanded me yet. All right, now they know I have Force, Stock Up, Ren, Gaia's Blessing. They still have 5 cards in hand as well. One of the ways I like to build these rug control decks is to play no orchards and play only 2 oaths and play castable creatures, but castable creatures are a lot worse than Atraxa, so it's kind of hard. I almost played like a loot oath. That was a fun version. Because you're still going to get value by playing like turn 1 oath into an opposing creature, playing a 5-drop, like a very powerful mythic rare 5-drop from the recent Magic history. 5 or 6 drop is usually where you go when you're looking at castable oath targets. Though people have played Pyrogoyf in the past as a castable oath target. Lots of options. But this is a nice little hybrid build, very much reminiscent of classic Rug Miharu style oath. 2 large uncastables for the most part. Gaia's Blessing to try to make it so that you don't lose when you oath into your 2 large uncastables. All right, so no land drop from the opponent. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I kind of want to be able to play Wasteland off of this, so I'm gonna go green, red, cast this into the possible Spell Pierce. I think it's worth it. They have Force backup, which means they don't have anything good, so What did they pitch? Stern Scolding only hits creatures. Yeah, I'm gonna counter back here. It's not actually that good to counter back here because there are still spirit tokens in play, but I mean they wouldn't counter this if they had a Bowmaster. So they just have double force. Force snap. What is that? Oh, that's cool. I've never seen that. Final Fantasy. Sweet. Force snap. Force stern scolding. Okay, I definitely will not play Gaia's Blessing and give them an orchard token. They had Bowmaster? I feel like if you have a Bowmaster here, you would just never counter this Renin 6. This Renin 6 does not. I guess they get wastelanded, but like, and then they ripped a frog. Well, maybe we'll rip an oath. I'm perplexed. I feel like I would not force a Renin 6 there, but all right. Well, the good news is we have very little time. Wait, that's not the good news. The bad news. These are not Oath of Druids, which means we are very dead. Who is not getting the job done here? I mean, what is getting the job done here? Nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oath is no longer an option. Ancestral is no longer an... All right, we all concede here. I mean, my opponent had double force there, and I don't even think they had to use any of the forces they used, so not a great place to be. I like the idea of bringing in Needle and Pyro. Maybe a Braid is okay as well. I strongly dislike Negation in this matchup, so that can go. Not a big fan on Probe. I think this Narset should just be straight up cut from the deck, most likely. It just doesn't fit into 2026 vintage. I don't think I want 2 Abrades. I think I'll take 1 Abrade and Pyro's in a Wasteland and play this game. One of the problems here, though, is... I don't know. It's hard to resolve our spells through Spell Pierce, so... I do think that game was pretty winnable from a being on the play perspective, but that was not the way it shaped up. A Braid can deal with like a Grafdigger's Cage, but also kill a Bowmaster. Where Ancient Grudge is only hitting the Grafdigger's Cage and not really much else. Obviously, we have Oko and Beseiju that also do that job, but I think that Cataxian Probe, and I mean, maybe I don't need a Braid. I could play Cataxian Probe. I'm not really upset if you did that, but like I think Negation's bad, and I think Narset's quite bad. Narset is a pretty embarrassing card against Bowmaster as well, so it's kind of an embarrassing card against if your opponent puts creatures into play fast enough that you don't kill them fast enough. Which is a weird, like, if you're like, if this card is finding you PO and you're winning the game right away, then I think it's probably fine. But even then, it might not even be better than, it's like, think about Thundertrap Trainer. Certainly better off than this Narset. At one point in time, each opponent can't draw more than 1 card a turn was really prohibitive. That's not really the case anymore. Especially with the Frog being able to kill the Narset and still draw. God, I hate this because this is the problem with the Oath mana base is that it is very susceptible to getting wastelanded here. I guess the thing I can do is play Wasteland and pass, right? But then I'm just gonna get Spell Pierce and then lose. I don't like. Am I supposed to mulligan this hand because I mean maybe I am because there's an attraction in it. Because I don't have like our mana base doesn't have that many fetches. It only has 4 fetches in it anyways, so it's hard to have a good mana hand at all. I don't know the answer. Don't know the answer. I don't think the deck is just clunky and bad is my how I'm leaning, but obviously, I could have played this league better. Maybe I'm missing some key sideboarding ideas. There's a reason that I don't play this kind of deck anymore. I have, a history of playing controlling Oath decks. I think one of the videos from my intro, um, is one of my favorite Magic moments of me winning a PTQ with Control Oath. Not Rug, it was a Bug Control Oath with Deed, but I was oathing into Archon of Cruelty in that list. Turn 1 scroll. Yep. Or I guess it's turn. Yeah, it's turn 1 scroll. Jeez. Okay. Ancestral. That means they already have a force for my oath, probably. I've drawn my Gaia's Blessing again. I'm just so far behind. Yep. Force pitch cruise, and they untap Ancestral and kill us. I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, my opponent's hand was better than ours, but I guess I just had to mulligan. My hand was just not doing it. It's just really hard to mulligan against like this kind of blue-black tempo deck. You don't really want to do that. Imagine they just like Ancestral here, draw 3 cards, Wasteland my Tropical Island, play a Frog or something. I don't know. No Wasteland. It's kind of an interesting choice, right? Wouldn't you want to Ancestral first and see if you can draw Wasteland? Unless you like have Frog and the ability to play Spell Pierce or something. Let us drew a Force, which is kind of interesting. Okay, I think I'm gonna cast Stock Up. Can't even cast Oko if I wanted to, because our mana base is currently Wasteland, Trop. Imagine if they go Ancestral in response to this, and I force it, and then they go Flusterstorm over the top. Hard cast negation, Ancestral still in hand. I actually don't hate countering here. No, I guess my stock up is my stock up is like worth more than their Ancestral, right? Because our current situation is so bad. And they can have like a Spell Pierce or something to protect their Ancestral. I think I'm just gonna counter this. Okay. I'm gonna take. What am I gonna take? I do think I will force the Ancestral anyways. I wish I could Pyroblast the Ancestral. I think I'm gonna take. So if I take Force, then I could keep my Oko, but I don't have a land. If I took Fetch Force, then I don't have really a play after. I take Orchard Force so that I don't think I need to take Orchard. I think I'm gonna take Fetch Force. That'll help me against Wasteland as well, so. Yeah, I mean, obviously this can backfire, but I think it's worth it. We are in trouble. There's a Cage and a Jet and a Fetch by Lurrus. Can't replay anything with Lurrus. All right, well, I only boarded one of my Braidton, so and I just used one of my Okos. That's a good draw, though. So that's for myself. Time Walk. Okay. Time Walk. Double wasting my opponent does not keep them off Lurrus. Triple wasting my opponent does. I'm gonna cast Gaia's Blessing, putting Ancestral, Time Walk, and Stock Up back into my deck. Okay, and then I'm going to unleash Wasteland's Fury on my opponent's mana base. Nothing. Stock up immediately. Not bad. Immediately Mystical Disputed. Unlucky. That's what the card they drew for turn was, Mystical Dispute. What did they draw? Probe. I got 2 fetches. They have an Unknown and a Lurrus. They have a Spell Bomb. Draw a card, probably. Try to hit a land drop here. Gets rid of my Wastelands and Gaia's Blessing. Not a huge deal. Unless I draw a red and 6 on that turn there. Hold this because I do play Brainstorm in my deck. I have 2 Surveil lands to use here. Three cards in my opponent's hand now. They drew a block source. They can play Lurrus if they want. They do. Okay, I'm gonna go get the red one. Thundering Falls. Orchard is not necessary. I just have not drawn any cards that help, even though I've gotten bins. All right. They still have 1 card. Now they have an Unknown. They can't recast Spellbomb because they have a Cage. So it's just a 3/2 lifelinker at the moment. We are a black or white Moxen away from casting an Atraxa if we draw, but there's only 1 Atraxa left in our deck. Actually, Oathing without they ripped a frog off the top. Oathing without having Gaia's Blessing or 2 Atraxas is pretty rough too. Pyro. I guess we have to keep that because can't really let this frog hit us. And I can't bring it back with because there's a cage, so our best draw is probably like Boo. They get to use their fetch land for a Surveil land. They put a Spell Pierce in the bin. That makes sense. Surveil lands are so good. 4 attacks from Lurrus before I die. There's a stock up. I'm going to play a Mox out so I can play around another Dispute. And then I'm going to cast stock up. Oko, Oath, stock up, Pyro. I think I want to go Oko, Pyro. And try to make sure this resolves and stabilizes me. So first, what I'll do is I'll just make a food. And then we can decide next turn what we want to do after that. Obviously, they're going to have to attack Oko. Or else I can just swap into a Lurrus. If I had taken Oath, right, I can, turn off the cage and Oath. I think that's a little bit worrisome because they would have 6 power. Things could go pretty badly in that way. I think resolving an Oko is going to give me a high chance of surviving here. Also, I need to resolve the Oko, right? Which is another reason I can maybe take the Pyroblast as a way to help it resolve. I think this Oko on this board is stabilizing and winning by itself. So making sure it resolves is the key. They have to attack Oko, but then we just get to stand up a food or a ruby, and then we have a blocker. Oko is very good at this small creature combat. Jet. I think what I'll do is just stand up this ruby. I think having 3 life doesn't matter as much as having an extra mana to cast things. I'm going to play this jet out so that I have an extra thing I can stand up, but I think I might keep the jet because it might help me cast an Atraxa if I were to draw it. We'll see. I'm gonna try to stabilize here and play Planeswalker control for the rest of the game. I think this cage limiting Lurrus is actually incredibly good for us. That is enough. All right, I'm gonna make a food token. This also threatens to steal Lurrus. I'm gonna hold on to this Pearl, but I can actually cast an Atraxa if I were to draw one. I only have one left in my deck, of course. I don't know what my opponent's drawn so far here. We've drawn a lot of Armoxen, though. Do they want to let me steal Lurrus? They don't want to let me to steal Lurrus, so we're going to get a nice food token trade in here. I'm going to go to the next turn. Oath. Cool. So now I can cast Oath and turn off this cage. It's still real risky, right? Because I only have one Atraxa left in my deck, but maybe I shouldn't make this play. I don't know. Maybe I think I am winning if I just play Oko control, but I also just want this game to end, so I'll do it for the content, chat. One Oath spin to rule them all here. I have one Atraxa, no Gaia's Blessing in my deck, so I can definitely lose the game off the trigger, but I think that's fine. I think that's acceptable. I think if I was playing a competitive tournament, I probably would not play Oath here. I would maybe just try to play with only Oko, standing up food and attacking with that. A little slow, but yeah, it's probably an incorrect play, but I do it for the content, right? Maybe my opponent will concede because they don't know that I could very easily die to my own Oath here. All right, see what they do. I assume they just, I don't know, attack me. Nothing really matters from this spot. I'm gonna crack my food token. I'm gonna Oath into this Atraxa. Do it for the content. That's not a good sign. Okay, 10 cards. That's not too bad. It was lagging, so I was like, oh, this might go really poorly, but it went all right. I'm going to take Renin 6 as my Planeswalker, Vexing Bauble as my artifact, Volcanic as my land. Yeah, they're out of here. I think that was good for my opponent to play this out to this point because there's a reasonable chance that this is just like is too low in my deck. Not a reasonable chance. There is a chance this card is so low in my deck I can't win. But that was a really solid hit. Pretty far in, not too far in, and also hit a bunch of good cards off of it. So I'm gonna bring in that other Abrade because we already seen there is a cage. So I'm gonna just cut a. What am I gonna cut? I'm gonna cut a. I'm gonna cut a Pearl. Nah, I'm not gonna cut a Pearl. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna cut a. Okay, I'm just gonna keep one Abrade. I don't want to cut any of these cards. Nope. 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 All right, seems reasonable. That's annoying, but I'm gonna let them look at my hands. Don't think it's worth it to mental misstep a probe here. Opponent gets a full peek at what I'm working with. Force, misstep, pyro, bobble. Kind of a rough mana base here. Again, I don't have any basics in my deck, which is a little rough against a wasteland deck. It's kind of unlikely I'll ever play this bobble before I'm trying to like resolve a spell. Or until I'm going to resolve a spell. So I'll probably just pass here, hold everything up. Don't feel like playing a bobble is good. Don't feel like fetching a non-basic here is good. I will definitely fetch a non-basic end of turns that I can Lorien Revealed for another land. All right, slow and steady. All right. I'm going to go fetch a Volk, and then I'm going to go fetch a Trop, and then I'm going to play... I could probably play Trop Bobble this turn. Maybe not, though. Maybe not, because I can't crack and play Pyro. I am going to play it. I kind of hope my opponent Spell Pierces this, honestly, and I just let it go. Because if they just play like End of Turn Bowmaster, I'm pretty incentivized to crack. Because I do want to have Force up. I want to have Mental Misstep up. So my opponent has coverage here, which is the problem. So I will fetch with my Bobble here. Yeah, this is the problem with playing out the Vexing Bobble for sure. At least now I have two. But yeah, if they have a Spell Pierce and then I have a Force. This is the problem with my opponent knowing my entire hand, man. That's the real problem. I shouldn't have played Bobble. I kind of knew it too, right? Well, I at least countered the Ancestral, so that's something. See how this plays out from here. Do they have a Wasteland for my Pyro last mana? Do they have Frog? Do they have... What do they have? This was a bad exchange for me, and I'm not happy about it. And it's my own fault. I should just have listened to myself and not played the Bobble out. I'm gonna play out this Wasteland, but I'm not gonna cast anything. I'm not gonna Wasteland them either. I think this mana matters more to me than them. This is Bowmaster. Yeah, I think that's fine. Don't feel like upgrading a Bowmaster is a worthwhile use of my time here. Maybe I'm supposed to. Hard to say. I feel like having Pyro up is better. It constrains them more. They know about the Pyro. I will probably end of turn abrade this Bowmaster anyways. I think taking the extra damage is okay in terms of being able to blank them for a turn, though. It does come back with Lurrus. Maybe I should definitely have two abrades because it can kill Lurrus. I didn't really consider that either. These games are going long. So I probably should have found something to cut for that second abrade. It's just a mistake. Best I can do is play poorly, apparently. It's okay. Learning is good. By Lurrus, it looks like. Lurrus makes this Abrade worse, but it's not even that bad. I'll just Abrade this. Because I want to be able to fling with my Boo token as well. All right. Stock up. Yeah, I think I'm resolving a stock up here is better than playing a Boo into a possible force. Though they didn't have force for Ancestral. If I have to... Yeah, I'm going to play a Boo. No, I don't really... I think it's better to wait and have backup for this Boo. It's more important that it resolves. And this way, if they like, negate this stock up, I still can Pyro if I want. They know about my Pyro. Oath. New plan. That's the new plan. The downside here is if they have the 1 cage, right? I got some nice backup here. Will they play Lurrus? Or will they hold up some spells after I've resolved my stock up? Land drop is what I want to see, really, so I can have Pyro up and beat Spell Pierce. It looks like they're just casting Lurrus. All right. I think I start with the Oath. If Oath just straight up resolves, I'll cast Ancestral. Try to hit another land. Oh, they have Mental Misstep. I see. Okay, well, I have 1 Oath. I don't use the Orchard, and I have a Pyro for something bad, so... Seems really reasonable. Again, if they have a cage, they can go like Bowmaster out of the yard and then play cage. Which would be devastating. Yeah, they just have a cage. They should probably have played the Bowmaster first, unless they're holding up negation. Yeah. I don't have an answer for that right now. That's kind of the downside of taking Oath. I drew another Oath. And then I don't even have a land off of that. The Ancestral didn't resolve. They resolve this. It looks really bad for me. Maybe I played this game poorly. Just the 1-up cage is crushing me. It looks like 1-up cage plus negation instead of playing Bowmaster. What am I going to do here? I have to make a play, right? Man, I played badly this game, huh? It's tough. Like I think like having, I mean, my play is pretty good against Counterspell, but I guess I had Counterspell covered with Pyro, so taking a second Oath doesn't really make a lot of sense. I played really badly this set so far, but no, hopefully you can learn from it. I don't know if like playing that stock up correctly actually saves me, but it certainly would put me in a better place. Also, maybe killing this Bowmaster with a Braid has been kind of bad as well. I don't even know what saves me here. I don't think anything really saves me here. That is certainly something that could theoretically save me if things get really good. Don't know what really good is. But it's not that. All right, I think I played this game really poorly. I don't really think they have more than one. Do they have more than one? That might be part of the problem. I kind of assumed they had 1 cage. Oh, there's a list that has 3 cages. 2 cages, 3 cages, 2 cages, 2 cages. Okay, I'm just way off base here. This is what happens when you don't keep track of deck lists. This one has 1 cage, 3 cages, 2 cages. It looks like we're averaging 2.5 cages or something like that. Okay. I played really poorly. 100%. This is second Abrade should be in. There's a world where you could even consider playing an Ancient Grudge if you think there are 3 cages. It makes sense, right? Because the blue-black deck is really weak to Oath of Druids. So it makes sense that you would have a bunch of cages. But I just knew that in the past they hadn't been playing a bunch of cages. That's kind of maybe because Oath was on a bit of a downturn. Now Oath is on a bit of an upturn. No matter what the reason, this was an oversight from my part, and then pretty much my fault we lost, for sure. Also, There was the stock up where I took 2 oaths to help beat counter magic, but I don't have to beat counter magic. I can't beat. I don't have to beat counter magic if I can't beat a cage. So I don't know that the. Let me look at the stock up real quick. I don't know that the stock up had. I don't think it had a cage answer, or I would have picked it. It was brainstorm, oath, Oko, stock up. This is a really awful stock up because like I would like pick a land here. If they had oath, if I had oath, I could just take oath and land. Like if I go to my next turn here with oath plus another card, like what is that even? What's that other card? Stock up maybe. I can't even cast an Oko with an oath. I can't cast a stock up with an oath. Can't cast a boo with an oath. Can't. I mean, maybe I could take brainstorm. Drew a good card in ancestral, but then maybe I was supposed to counter this mental misstep. Draw 3. So I can draw another oath and stock up that I can't cast. I mean, my opponent knew about the pyro the whole game too, so it's not like I had any kind of leverage in that sense. If I had to go out on a limb, playing this Vexing Bubble was terrible. I would say this last game, sideboarding and playing was atrocious. Just a terrible, terrible game. More to learn from. All right, 5th and final round here of this Vintage League. Obviously, I haven't been playing very well today. Definitely a part of the reason that we are 1-3. Maybe if I had played better, we get a win here or there, but maybe not as well. So, but the result is, jeez. I think I'm supposed to negate this. The result is less important than the game actions and learning and making the best game actions possible every time. So, mono red. We have no basics in our deck, chat. I need to draw a blue card here. Okay, that's a blue card. There is not a single basic in our deck if we get mono red prison from this spot. That's why I needed to draw a blue card for force in case they play a blood moon here. Yep. Okay, that's quite lucky for us. Now I think we're in an incredible spot to win this one. I like that. That's a good one. We got pretty lucky here to have so many forces and draw the blue card we needed to live. Let's see if that's enough. 4 more cards in my opponent's hand. One thing that's nice about this is by forcing that blood moon, opponent doesn't know that we have no basics in our deck. Void Mirror, sure. Strip Mine, sure. Okay. I mean, if Atraxa hits the play, Atraxa hits the play, so... Now opponent might realize we have no basics in our deck, considering 25 cards are now gone, and we did not hit Gaia's Blessing. Definitely not taking Atraxa. Let's take Boo, Oath, Emerald. Wasteland doesn't actually even seem that bad. Stock up, Brainstorm. Yeah, why not? Boom. And then I'll just go with Wasteland, Time Walk, pass. We know that the blessing is below the other Atraxa. Oh, I don't have another activation. Never mind. These spells get countered, so I just like Wasteland there, red source, and attack. Okay. Seems fine. Maybe there was like a slight optimizations to be made there without using the Wasteland. Not sure. This is not gonna get a lot better for us here. I can cast Ancient Grudge. Seems okay. So does a Braid, actually. Obviously, Pyro is really bad. Bauble is really bad. Misstep on opponent Pyroblast might be worth it. Probe is pretty bad. Don't know that Trap is very good here either. I actually think it's likely Trap is not very good here. Additional Wasteland might be... I mean, they could have lots of basic mountains. But having another land, is that good enough? Probably not. Maybe just these cards out and then these extra interaction spells in. Seems fine. I don't know that keeping Mental Misstep in is good either, but I feel like my opponent's best way of stopping my forces is going to be with Spirit Guide Pyro, so... see what happens. Yeah. I mean, like I said, no basic. These decks have a hard time fitting a basic in when you need to have the ability to play red, green, red and 6, and be predominantly blue. This hand does not have a blue card for negation, but we do have turn 1 Oath. Do you keep? Holy hell, do you keep? It's kind of hard to know without knowing the mono red deck, but the mono red deck's not going to play. So even if my opponent doesn't play a turn 1 Moon, which seems unlikely, they will play a turn 1 Void Mirror, and that doesn't give us the ability to play through anyway. So I think you should have to mulligan this hand. That's crazy. This hand is better, right? So get rid of this Forbidden Orchard. It shouldn't be necessary here. Gotta be disciplined. Can't let our deck that has, opponent is not going to keep a 7-card hand that doesn't have a turn 1 thing that stops my game plan in my hand that I mulliganed. So it's just being disciplined and understanding the opponent's deck list. Ice is a Trinisphere. Void Mirror. I still think I'm supposed to force this because, again, I need to be able to maybe play after. And a cage, okay? That I'm less worried about. That will get over time, and this is a reward immediately for forcing the Void Mirror. I can now force a Blood Moon that comes down. And again, a Blood Moon won't be that bad if I had on-color Moxen, but I just don't have that, so... Yep, we're gonna counter that. I'm gonna get rid of Time Walk. So this Brainstorm gonna find us what we need. Let's see. I'm gonna grab a Hedge Maze. Wasteland. I don't think that's worth it, so let's keep it on top and Wasteland this red land here. Maybe that'll keep them from being able to cast spells. It might not, but it seems worthwhile. And then they did, yeah, okay. So if they're gonna play anything, then I'll go to my next turn for Brainstorm to make this Brainstorm better. Braid. I think I still... Okay, I'm gonna braid... I think I'm gonna braid the Soul Ring. I can get rid of this cage later. If I keep them from being able to play the game, I should just be able to out-card quality them. I don't know that I want to play this Brainstorm yet. I think I want to wait till maybe one more card's in my hand. I'm not really pressured to play the Brainstorm. They hit a red land. They have a lot of non-mountains, huh? They have a lot of the red mountain spells. A red and 6 would be a crazy draw. I'm gonna wait again. Now I have a counter spell if I want. I don't want to Brainstorm lock myself for no reason. They immediately drew 3 mana, including red mana. Is really bad for me. That's so bad for me. I should maybe have played the Emerald so I could have green mana after a Magus resolves. Traxa, not a great draw here. Now I'm definitely play this Emerald out. I wonder if I was playing too cautiously and just let my opponent walk into 3 mana there. Caves of the Chaos Adventurer. Using a Simian Spirit Guide. Okay. I drew both Atraxas. Noted. Well, if I had brainstormed into 2 Atraxas, I think I would have been pretty unhappy, so. They can't cast, how does this exile spell? Oh god, they can still cast it? No, exile the top card of your library. I think they can cast it. I don't think it's in the library anymore. You wouldn't be able to cast it if it was part of the library, but if it's exiled, yeah. I am surprised we lost this game. Well, that's not very useful anymore. All right. Damn. Okay. I mean, brainstorming would not have helped me for what it's worth. I would have been very locked out. Kind of drew the wrong set of magic cards. Interesting, though. I don't know. I feel like waiting there was good. But I did get punished, so. All right, last attempt here to try to rectify my kind of brutal league. This has green mana in here and an Abrade. I think this is fine. Abrade is actually insane because Abrade kills a Magus of the Moon. Abrade kills a Magus of the Moon even when I'm underneath whatever. Okay, underneath him. Kills a Magus underneath a Magus. That's what I'm trying to say here. Obviously, I would have preferred a land that I can get back with Ren and 6, but I have green mana here. I don't have blue mana, obviously, but I have green mana and I have the ability to kill a Magus, so this seems reasonable enough. Maybe it's... Man, maybe it's a little dicey, but... Soul Ring, Mana Crypt... Red mana. Caves of Chaos Adventure. I'm not going to abrade this right away. I'm going to wait. It's pretty good. Negation and another stock up. I feel like a negation's not as good here as getting a fetch land. Fetch land, stock up. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe getting a negation covers me from something bad. I'm trying to let my opponent forge onto this Caves of the Chaos Adventure so that I get extra value here. They didn't even do it. All right. I think they expected me to have a removal spell for Caves and went down Lost Well instead. Try to find another payoff spell. Also, like, a lot of their payoff spells are not negatable, so... Also, not giving them a 1/1 is pretty good. They went top bottom on the Lost Well. I have to attack this before it starts. Kill it before it attacks. All right. I will abrade your Caves of the Chaos Adventure. Now, if they play a Blood Moon after this, it's really bad for me. I still have a green source, though. I don't have a blue source is the thing I don't have. Void Mirror is fine. They have Void Mirror and a Blood Moon. So the negation would have been pretty bad, too. All right. So negation would not have covered this. I have red and green, but I can't cast stock up. I drew another Atraxa. If I can get a Ren and 6 ultimate, where instants and sorceries have retrace, should hold this orchard. Maybe I should have held this fetch land then, because then maybe I could retrace my abrade. I've drawn a lot of Atraxas, huh? Can't even show and tell them in. We're pitching into force here. I can minus Ren on the catacombs, which is kind of nice, but doesn't. Oh my lord. Okay. Yeah, it's not good. That is not good. Wonder if they're thinking about playing out of cage, but they shouldn't play out of cage because it would stop gets thrown. It would stop throne. Shelby. Shelby is not good here. Enough. Oh, we are so dead here. We are so dead. I can't even run in 6 alts. All right. I mean, what a brutal outing here. Shelby. All right. Throne hit. Another caves. Oh my lord. Okay. I got destroyed in this league. I That's wild. This was not very close. Yeah, just attack me. Flip over, Lotus Petal. I am dead on the next swing. I guess I'm not technically dead on the next swing, but with Forge I would be. Squelcher, yeah, it makes sense. Now they can play their Petal through their Void Mirror. Cute. Cute. Another Void Mirror, so now I can't even... I mean, I can grudge a Void Mirror and then flashback a grudge on a Void Mirror, but I don't think that does anything for me here. I hit a blue mana. That's pretty crazy. So it actually did do something. Pyro. Okay, I have been thoroughly vanquished. I went 1-4 in this league, and I definitely didn't play well. And we did have a bunch of 3-game close sets, but that deck felt not very good. Obviously, Wessel's performance with 3-5-0s is pretty strong, and there's definitely room to grow here. I didn't really like our setup versus Dredge. I felt like that was our worst matchup of all of the matchups. Not having access to any basics feels really rough. I don't know that this deck can play basics, but it felt rough. I'm not really sure the 2 Surveil land, 4 Fetch land, Orchard, Waste Saga, the Seiju mana base is good. Yeah, I was really not feeling that either. And then I didn't really know exactly how I was supposed to sideboard, but I like I said, I definitely was probably Justin. I was probably sideboarding incorrectly from the deck creator's intentions because it was a little hard to parse how I'm bringing in the certain cards that are pretty reasonable against like Lurrus PO. I want to know how you're boarding because you kind of want to keep the Oath package in against Lurrus PO because they're playing these trainers, but you also, you know, we boarded out the entire Oath package versus Jewel, which I liked. So package made sense. Like I was bringing in all this stuff against Jewel and I was sideboarding out Oath into Rug Control. That made perfect sense. It didn't work out, right? But it was a good idea. Whereas I don't really know how you're supposed to sideboard against Lurrus PO. When someone like, you know, it's like you want Nora, but it's not that good. You want Oath, but it's not that good. You know, Braid is pretty medium. Grudge is probably reasonable. Like, are you keeping a negation against Lurrus PO? Probably, but how do you do that? A lot of questions like that. So I'll probably leave this league with more questions than answers, but I was not super impressed with the idea and concept, even if it's a rehash of a previous concept. But again, I don't want to draw too much judgment because I feel like we ran a little unlucky and I also played pretty poorly. So hopefully you still enjoyed this content anyways. I always say that losses are far more informative than victories, and making sure we can figure out things that went wrong along the way so that you don't make the same mistake the next time is the way you get better at Magic. And keep getting better at Magic with me for more vintage videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll see you then.